What is up, everybody? This is your boy J Raj here, and this is episode 6 of the 2020 Visions podcast. I'm glad to have you here today, and we got a few things to discuss, ranging from some WWE talk. We're going to talk about season 2 of Unreal, and we're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble and who we think could maybe win that. We got a little bit of gaming talk that's going to happen, a nice comic book overview with a crazy epic team up. And then we also got a little bit of talk regarding Spiderman Brand New Day. It's going to be a great episode, and let's get this thing started. So, WWE Unreal Season 2 dropped last week, and I watched it, and I had a few takeaways from what I saw. So, first, I'm going to dive into what Unreal is. You see, in the wrestling business for decades, the wrestlers were told that they're supposed to protect kayfabe, which is protect the fact that these characters, they want everyone to believe that it's real life. So when The Undertaker, for example, was going out in public, he made sure to wear all black, and anytime he talked to a kid, he'd be like, "Yes, rest in peace." You know, like no matter where they were at, they always had it on. And protecting kayfabe was just a thing you did back in the day. And over time, some insider info gets leaked over the decades. And, most people already knew that wrestling is scripted, but it kind of changed the business a little bit when more people got on socials and might post about seeing so-and-so at the airport. So when season 1 of Unreal dropped, I know there was a lot of people that seemed kind of upset. And even some of the wrestlers in Unreal that are featured on there, they even say, Paul Heyman said it this season, that they don't like Unreal. They think it opens the curtain for things that fans are not meant to see. But here's my personal take on it. As a wrestling fan growing up, most people just don't understand it. Like, everybody wants to say, that's fake, right? It's not real, right? And I'm like, that's kind of like the point that I watch it. Think about it like this. We all watch movies. Movies have hundreds and hundreds of takes. And usually the big time actors, they're not even the ones doing the action scenes. They got a stunt double for them. Think of WWE as this. It is people playing their own character that they come up with. They're their own stunt doubles, and they only get one take because it's in front of a live audience. If you look at that, it kind of adds a little respect and understanding. But I think that the reason WWE came out with Unreal was to shed light that, yes, this is a production, and they're leaning on showing the production side of it. Because if you got a business that just nobody understands, like, it's going to be harder for people to get into it. But I think they're leaning into the fact that, okay, people know it's scripted, so we're going to show them how complex this thing is and how much work the wrestlers do put in behind the scenes to make all this happen. So leaning into the aspect of that this is a production, I feel like in a way it can help WWE draw fans in. And it's, I've always been drawn in by it. I love WWE. So that's my mindset on it. But now I'm going to talk about what season 2 had going on. So there's a few highlights for me. One thing I really enjoyed about season 2 of Unreal was the parts that feature Penta. And something he said, a quote he said was, "Wrestling is like life itself. You decide how real and fake it is." So, I mean, that kind of sheds light on what I was just talking about. It's like, if you understand that these guys are crazy talented, crazy athletic, they have one take, is it really fake? Like, they're really getting physical in there. They just got to learn to do the moves in a way that doesn't hurt the opponent they're fighting. And I also look at it like this. There's some wrestlers who have a hard-hitting style like Sheamus or Rusev or Brock Lesnar. They have matches where you can tell they're really getting physical. You can see welts on people's chest. You can see they're getting beat up. So I think some wrestlers, they have an agreement with each other when they're having a match that, hey, you can lay it in a little bit. Like, we can actually get pretty physical. And so I think depending on the match, some wrestlers might decide this is going to be more realistic and more physical than normal. So that's what I think Penta meant by this. Maybe not. But also something else that kind of cracked me up was it was highlighting his role in the Money in the Bank ladder match last year. And he was like, the ladder match is my kingdom. I love the crazy moves. I love the violence. It was, I don't know, it was just really funny to see. But one thing I loved is that while they were showing Penta in the ladder match, the main spot that they brought attention to was when El Grande Americano stuffed the metal in his mask, balanced on one ladder to make it go up on the turnbuckle, ran up that, bounced on another to lean on another ladder, ran up that, and then headbutted Penta. Like, that spot, I thought stole the show last year. And I love that they highlighted that because Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, that's my dude, and I always enjoy watching him. And another thing that I watched that kind of stood out to me is it had Seth Rollins mic'd up in the WWE bus before he made his return, showing that he never was injured all along, because Seth Rollins faked an injury. Even a lot of the producers for the matches didn't know about it. Only 4 people in the whole WWE that worked there knew that Seth wasn't really injured, and it showed him talking to, like, it didn't show him, but he was mic'd up in his bus talking to Paul Heyman. And I kind of got at the fact that I think Seth really does not like CM Punk, because nobody was watching or listening whenever he said this, but Paul Heyman was secretly talking about the plans for the cash-in that night where he had revealed he wasn't injured. And Paul Heyman said, "Are you going to hit him with the briefcase?" And Seth said, "Yes, hopefully many times." And it's, saying it on here, it probably doesn't have near as much impact, but if you watch it, the way he said that, I was like, dude legit does not like CM Punk. I think that's one of those things we're going to decide when it's how real it is. I think that maybe he could actually just hurt CM Punk just a tad. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. They also showed, like, R-Truth and the whole thing about him getting released, like, right after he had a match against John Cena. He got released, like, the same week. R-Truth is a vet who's been in the WWE and been a wrestler for probably close to 30 years now. I mean, not completely with the WWE, but also with other companies. But he's been loved by fans. I mean, he's one of the guys that can make anybody laugh. And it just showed the emotion that he felt when he got released. And you can see him in the interview crying, talking about it. It just shows you that this is these guys' life. This is their passion. And it also shows how much of a difference fans can make in the decision making by management, because the We Want Truth movement started. We want truth. We want truth. Every show, fans were going crazy chanting that, and they ended up making a deal the same exact night that he returned. They finalized the deal. Nick Khan and R-Truth had met up and finalized it the day that R-Truth returned. Like, they decided last minute to bring this dude back to attack Cena. And it just showed, like, him talking about how much that moment meant to him. That was cool to see. I met him at an airport on the way to Los Angeles, which was really cool. I went up to him. I seen him on the plane. I was like, I swear that's R-Truth. Like, we was flying out of Charlotte, so I know he's from there. And I see him. I made eye contact with him on the plane, and I was like, dude, that's got to be him. So in the airport, and this was like 8 years ago, by the way. So we land at LAX, and we're getting our luggage, and I see him, and I'm like, I'm going to go up to him. So I come up to him, I'm like, hey, you're R-Truth, right? I knew he was. And he's like, yeah, bro. And I was like, dude, also, I was like, do you care if I get a picture with you? I'm a big fan. He's like, yeah, bro, no problem. And he's like really just chill, really cool. But I don't know, to see that softer side of him on screen was like just neat to see. The dude got his flowers, and that's something he definitely deserved. So, legend right there. So, one more thing I wanted to mention regarding WWE Unreal that stood out to me the most out of the whole thing is how they were treating my dude LA Knight. We need justice for LA Knight. Yeah, we need justice. Come on now. You want to put him in like his third Money in the Bank ladder match. And here's what happened, okay? Apparently they talked to LA Knight and Seth Rollins about a spot where at the end LA Knight and Seth Rollins are battling on top of the ladder, just hitting each other back and forth. And then LA Knight getting knocked down before Seth wins. Well, how it happened in the match, LA Knight didn't really get up on the ladder. Instead, keep in mind these are long matches. I mean, why does this detail matter that much? But instead of climbing up on the ladder, he pulled Seth off of the ladder. They have a back and forth exchange on the ground. And then I thought the spot was pretty cool where Seth like grabs LA Knight by the hair, slings him into the ladder. Like, that looked pretty brutal. As a fan, I was like, dang, LA Knight's getting messed up. I mean, they were getting Seth to win. Well, as this is happening, they show the producers backstage like, that's not the effing spot we talked about. That's not the spot. And they're so ticked off at LA Knight. I'm like, I was entertained. This is sports entertainment. Well, I was entertained. But I was sad also because you're going to put him in another Money in the Bank match to show him almost win. Get so close. So after the match, it shows Triple H just talking to LA Knight. LA Knight is obviously kind of just sitting there upset, not saying anything. He's like, this is supposed to be your moment. You know, this moment was made for you. You're supposed to be reaching up, and it's going to be just right there, right there, right there. Then Seth's not going to knock you down. And it's just sad. Like, how are you going to say that was LA Knight's moment, that was made for him? Obviously, y'all don't like him. Obviously, you don't want to book him how the fans would love him to be booked. And LA Knight's just sitting there, taking it all. You can tell he's kind of ticked off, and I would be too. We need justice for LA Knight, but I just don't know. Like, he hasn't even been on in a while. He got beat up by the Vision, and he's been gone from WWE. But when I saw that scene on Unreal, I was like, y'all got to be joking. And it just felt kind of like they don't like him, so they're going to keep on playing with his emotions, getting him so close, but just to never truly get the briefcase or get a championship or whatever. That was frustrating to see as an LA Knight fan. And yeah, he needs some justice. Because they were so dead set on this spot being that they're battling at the top of the ladder. They acted like this was some big groundbreaking moment, but that's the most generic Money in the Bank ladder spot ever. Like, why can't we see something new where they get pulled down and battle down on the ground before the winner goes up? Like, they're acting like it was some groundbreaking moment, and it was the same generic thing. You got to surprise us sometimes, WWE. And I think LA Knight's got that element of surprise, but y'all are damping what he's got. Y'all are holding him down. You got to stop. But anyway, this past Saturday was Saturday night's main event, and I'm going to talk briefly about that, and then we're going to roll into some Royal Rumble talk. But so a couple of the main matches was the Fatal 4-Way, which had Trick Williams, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton going at it to see who's the number one contender to face Drew this coming Saturday at the Royal Rumble. And I'll be honest, I was rooting for Trick Williams. I really wanted him to pull that dub off because the crowd is behind that dude, I think, more than any of the other guys. But they did the safe choice. Sami Zayn winning. And that's the thing. You know he's a favorite in Saudi. So they want that pop, I feel like, when he comes out to face Drew this coming Saturday. So they had Sami Zayn win that. I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, Trick Williams has such a great career ahead of him. Um, and yeah, we'll see how Sammy versus Drew goes this Saturday at the Rumble. But another match that was announced that technically wasn't even turned into a match was Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes. And basically, they got in a brawl before the match even started. And initially, when the ref didn't ring the bell, I was like, oh, crap, they're doing this. And I was thinking they're going to have like a little 30-second exchange, like, and then everybody's going to pull them apart, and then it's going to be done. I'm like, dang, us fans are getting robbed of what was going to be such a good match. But no, they went brawling throughout the whole arena. Cody Rhodes, I love when they're backstage near concessions, and he gets a trash can, throws it at a security guy. Boom. It's like 2K25. Gets another trash can, throws it at another security guy. And he just does it like 3 or 4 times. I was like, bro, that's got to be a meme. Somebody needs to make that a meme because that was really funny. But they're brawling throughout the arena. And I'm thinking in my head, Drew McIntyre's got problems with both of them dudes. I was thinking, I feel like he's going to show up. And sure enough, at the end, Drew low blows Cody, power bombs him through a table, and he also pushes Fatu through a table. And I was like, that was epic. And the people in the front row, they're looking down at Cody down there. You can tell they were all in shock. So even though it wasn't technically a match, I give that segment 5 stars, baby. That was entertaining. That had me entertained. I ain't gonna lie. Sports entertainment, baby. Let's see. Another thing that happened. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. To me, the highlight of the night, because I didn't know it was going to happen. I guess Nakamura had challenged AJ Styles on SmackDown, saying he wanted to face him on Saturday night's main event. But I didn't know that. So when they said Nakamura versus AJ Styles tonight, I was like, holy crap, because they had their rivalry back around WrestleMania 34, I think. And I mean, these dudes are legends, you know, indie legends, and they are good friends and things and rivals. And their WrestleMania match just didn't turn out the way it should have been. It kind of went stale, you know. But this was a sweet part of Saturday night's main event. Them to have a final match together, presumably a final match together, and it was just a crisp match. Like, they're so smooth in the ring. They got so much chemistry. AJ Styles was working that injured knee by Nakamura. I thought it was classic, and it really kind of left you wondering. I was thinking, what if Nakamura wins? What if they have Nakamura win and make AJ Styles doubt himself going into facing Gunther? I was like, they really could go that route. So to me, it was unpredictable. But in the end, AJ Styles worked that knee, hit the phenomenal forearm, and hit a Styles Clash and won that thing. And they had a nice embrace at the end, hugged it out, and shook each other's hands. I thought that was awesome. I think that was my favorite part of the night. Yeah, we're going to move into the Royal Rumble talk that we got going. So we got to talk about first what we know about the Rumble. We do know that Drew versus Sami Zayn is happening for the Universal title. We know various people have declared for the Rumble. The whole Vision is involved. Braun Breaker's suspension was lifted by Adam Pearce, so he's going to be in it. Obafemi is announced to be in the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns, I'm pretty sure, is announced to be in the Royal Rumble. And somebody I think is going to return in the Rumble, what I'm hoping for. And this is just me as a fan. I don't know the logic behind it because I really don't know how serious his surgery was. But I hope that your boy Chad Gable returns. I would love to see him return, and I think he'll get a pretty decent pop. Also, it makes you wonder, there's been rumors about Chris Jericho returning. Imagine that music hitting, dude. Break the walls down. Like, everybody's going to go insane. Could that happen at the Royal Rumble? But one thing I want to highlight is Adam Pearce and the whole Braun Breaker situation, lifting his suspension. I don't know, man. The segment where Braun Breaker officially got suspended a couple weeks ago, where Adam Pearce grabs his shoulder, turns him around, is yelling in his face. Braun Breaker backs him up in the corner and is standing over him, screaming at him that he will off him. Like that's what he's basically saying. And I thought that was very intense, and it really captured the intensity that Braun Breaker has. So I think the Royal Rumble can be the clash of some titans, bro. Imagine some of the forces that might be in there. Also, will Brock Lesnar be in there? I mean, that's kind of a lingering thing. I kind of feel like he's going to be in there. Could Braun Breaker and Brock Lesnar have a face-off? Could Obafemi and Braun Breaker have a face-off? Or Obafemi and Brock? I'm not sure if Jacob Fatu is in the Rumble. I feel like he would be. Could him and Braun Breaker have a face-off? There's some guys that they just seem like they're kind of like unstoppable forces, and there might be multiple of them in this match. I would love to see any of those that I just mentioned. But a few things that I would like is for a face-off like that to happen. I would also, and this is probably not going to happen, I wish Keith Lee would return. I like Keith Lee. And I do remember when him and Brock Lesnar came face to face back in like 2020. That had a lot of impact. They could do the same with someone else. But also, I do just miss Keith Lee. He's so underrated. But also, I hope that they can plant seeds somehow with their booking for the Rumble for Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton to face off and get a payoff to this mentor versus prodigy storyline. You know, I mean, that tells itself. I mean, with Cody Rhodes being mentored by Randy Orton as he was first in WWE to now being the face, and Randy Orton obviously wanting a title shot. I mean, I know Cody don't have the title right now, but it's like, are they going to pay it off or not? I just want to see them officially have some kind of big payoff. Not the way they did in like I think it was the King of the Ring tournament where Randy lost because he tried to expose the turnbuckle and it just backfired. That was not a payoff. We got to have a big time payoff because the Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania, baby. So we got to have some big payoffs happening. And also, we need some Titans to clash like I was talking about. So, yeah. I hate to say it. I kind of feel like Sami Zayn might actually win the title. And I hate it because I really just hate it. But some reason I just have that feeling Sami Zayn will win the title. And, I mean, think about this. What if Roman Reigns wins? Could Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble and then we can get Sami versus Roman again at WrestleMania? If that could happen, then I'm fine with Sami Zayn winning the Rumble. Wait, that does not make any sense. What am I talking about? Sami is not in the Rumble. He's facing Drew. So I'm saying if he beats Drew, then Roman wins the Rumble, faces Sami at WrestleMania. That's what I meant. My bad. If they went that route, I'm down for that. So Roman versus Sami again, or get Randy versus Cody. Let's have some Titans clash. Let's have some great returns like Chad Gable, maybe Brock Lesnar, Keith Lee. That probably won't happen. And Chris Jericho. Anyway, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see what happens, so I'll have more to talk about with it. But yeah, so now we're going to go ahead and go into some other stuff to talk about. And if y'all follow or subscribe to me on YouTube, you should know, I'm a big time gamer. I love gaming. I'm trying to step up my gaming content, like with the quality of it and the editing of it and things like that. But something I always think about is the games that I played in my childhood that kind of help define the things that I like and enjoy and the games that I like to play. So, over the years, there's been some remakes. Like Crash Bandicoot, for example. I used to love that. That got remade. A bunch of them did. Now they're available on PlayStation. That's great. They finally remade or re-released Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 2005 one, which I thought was really cool because I played that like crazy when I was younger. Um, but I will say, fans are so fickle because you want something like that to get released, and people are like, "Yeah, come on, like re-release it." And then when it comes out, you're just gonna completely crap on it because the online features that weren't even part of the original game did not run as smoothly as you thought. So some fans are fickle. Okay, so I actually have to fact check myself. When I was recording this, I was getting a little wound up talking about the games. But actually, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005 apparently did have online multiplayer, but I guess because I was so young and I didn't play online, I just didn't know. So sorry, I stand corrected. It did have it. Forgive me for being wrong. You want to press people to release something and think you're going to just pick it apart. Do you want the original game you played as a kid, or do you want something different? Anyway, that's another thing. But there's some games, other games that I remember when I was a kid that I had fun with, and I'm in the back of my head, I'm just like, dang, that'd be cool if it got re-released, just to get to play some in my pastime. So I'm gonna go into that. Just a few games that I would like to have re-released and made available for PlayStation 5 and Xbox and all that. So to start out, in my opinion, this is one of the best racing games ever, and that's Midnight Club 3, the dub edition. So here's the thing. This is a Rockstar Games video game. You're keeping all the fans waiting on GTA 6. Why not just pull this out of your archives? Just make it available for PlayStation 5. I would love that because that game, that holds a lot of childhood memories for me. So Rockstar, if you're listening, please re-release Midnight Club 3 because that's a banger right there, baby. And number 2, I will say that I played this probably before I was in kindergarten. I mean, I was born in 2000, so it's like, I think this dropped when I was probably 2 years old. But when I was probably 4 or 5, I was playing this. My dad had it, and this ignited my passion for basketball. And I went on, to play all throughout school and stuff, and I still love basketball. Just the swagger this game had. Like, it made a 4-year-old know what an alley-oop was. Bro, that's sick. And it was just so much fun. They had a couple other street games like NBA Street Home Court, I think is what it was called. But they just didn't quite hit as good as NBA Street Volume 2. So that will be epic to re-release. Because 2K, it's fun and all. But at what point are people going to decide to stop paying for the same game every year? Give us something different. Give us something fun. NBA Street Volume 2. And after that, we got another racing game. And I got a little something to talk about after I mentioned this one, is Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original one. I'm pretty sure from 2005. They had the other one from like 2012 come out, and it was fun. I played it a lot as well on the PlayStation 3. But it just didn't quite hit the same as Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. Something about that game, the chases were insane with the helicopters, like the customization I remember being pretty good. And I could easily be in an hour police chase on there. They just don't make the cops on Need for Speed games as challenging as they did on this game, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. Don't be mad if I'm getting the year wrong. But yeah, so one thing I got to say is the newer Need for Speed, I'm trying to remember what it's called. That just tells you how good it is. I can't even remember what it's called. One second. Okay, the newest one, Need for Speed Unbound. It was like made available on PlayStation Plus, so I downloaded it a couple weeks ago. And I go to play it, and like they're focusing more on the customization of the character, but then you go and you're trying to pick hairstyles, and it's like, bro, you give me 4 hairstyles to choose from, and they all look kind of odd. Uh, and then you got all these weird smoke animations behind the cars. I'm like, I get it. Like, it's more artsy. It's kind of cool for some people, but for me, I'm just like, I just want a racing game. And I also want a racing game that's just what I just said, just a racing game. I don't want some kind of roundabout way. Like, it seems like in a roundabout way, they're trying to make some kind of cultural statement with the game. Like, in the cutscenes, it's just obvious there's an agenda behind it. Like, and it's just kind of odd. And why can't we get back to simple racing? Like, why do we have to try to indoctrinate the young people or try to like make it woke? You know what I mean? It kind of takes away from the experience. Um, but yeah, also one other thing is it's rare to find any game now for like PS5 that has what they call nowadays couch co-op, which I just call it split screen. It's rare to find that now, and especially in Need for Speed. That's what I used to love about the older racing games is you could do split screen races or couch co-op. But why is it that the newer Need for Speeds don't have that? That adds to the fun, dude. If I want to play the game with someone who doesn't have a console, I mean, we can still have a good time. So I wish that newer games would kind of make that more available like it used to be. Sorry, I was rambling and kind of ranting about that. But another game, and this kind of opens up another topic. For the longest time, I was thinking, dude, can we get Ultimate Alliance 2 again, made for PS5? And don't get me wrong, I know that they released Ultimate Alliance 3, which was exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. And when I used to play a Switch, I had Ultimate Alliance 3. And it was fun. I'll admit, like, I had a lot of fun with that. But the fact that it was only for the Switch, I just was like, come on, like, can we get it on the console with maybe a little bit more graphics, capabilities? Um, but so I've always thought Ultimate Alliance 2 should get re-released. But that begs the question, is it really necessary now? Like, some games, fans are like, yeah, release it, re-release it, please. But is it really necessary? Because we're living in a time now that we got Marvel Rivals, and I don't know, like, now with Marvel Rivals being a thing, I don't even know if this would be necessary to re-release Ultimate Alliance 2. But that's the thing, the little kid in me, and I think for other people listening, it's the little kid in us that drives us to want these things. It's kind of this nostalgia base. When in reality, we do have like Marvel Rivals, which sort of has higher quality, but we all got that little kid in us, which is completely fine. I don't think it's wrong for us to want new games, older games to be re-released. And another game I played a lot when I was probably 14 or 15 is Fallout New Vegas, especially with the wake of the Fallout show coming out. It's getting more eyes on the Fallout series, and I had a lot of fun with New Vegas. But I will say, that was the first Fallout game I played. I hadn't played Fallout 3 or like the other ones. But New Vegas is fun, and it kind of sparked the interest in me for listening to Western music. I love Marty Robbins. The big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. Johnny Guitar. Okay, if you know, you know. But I love this game. That'd be cool to make it available. But with that being said, there's rumors that instead of Fallout New Vegas, they are going to be re-releasing Fallout 3 soon. So this is supposedly something that is going to be re-released soon. Bethesda might be doing it. So if it gets re-released, I might give it a try because I had never played Fallout 3. Some reason I'd heard about the tunnel snakes. Shout out to my friend Noah. But yeah, Fallout 3 might be getting re-released, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, that's that. Sometimes I feel like fans get what they want, but then they're a little harsh, like we kind of spoiled, but also we all got that kid in us. We all want to go after nostalgia sometimes, which is completely fine. There's no problem with it. But yeah, we will see what happens this year with gaming. But yeah, now we're going to dive into our comic book overview for the day that features a team up of 6 major villains. And this comic book is a series called Identity Disc. So it starts off, it introduces this lady named Valeria Merrick, and it shows her approaching 6 villains about them working together to steal what she has called the Identity Disc. And all the villains, they've heard of the Identity Disc, but they weren't sure if it was real. But basically what it is supposedly a disc that has all the identities of all the heroes. So she approaches 6 villains: Sandman, Bullseye, Deadpool, Sabretooth, Vulture, and Juggernaut. And she basically tells them that if they help retrieve this identity disc, that they can all be able to kill their rivals, the heroes that they don't like. So as they're being told about it, I guess this image is kind of showing them imagining being triumphant over the heroes finally. But there's a twist to it. The way that she convinces them is she threatens to blackmail each of the villains in the name of a man named Tristram Silver. So apparently Tristram Silver is some kind of a legend in the crime, like underground crime, like industries or whatever. Tristram Silver is supposed to be a legend that people don't even know if he exists. And it shows the heroes, or the villains I should say, when she says that she is there on behalf of Tristram Silver, they all are shocked because they thought this dude was just a legend and they're intimidated by it. So that's part of the way she convinces them to work for her, because they're all kind of a little bit scared. But the main thing is she threatens to blackmail them. So Vulture, she threatens that she will have his daughter killed if he doesn't help. He's like, dang, how you know my daughter? She threatens Sandman that she will have his mother killed. And Deadpool, this is funny. She tells Deadpool that she will make him be able to get his ex-wife back. And that was enough for him to help. I mean, he kind of just wanted to help. And she threatens Juggernaut that apparently there was what they call a bogus murder case. And she threatens that she will for sure be able to pull strings and have him charged with some murder if he doesn't help. I find this also interesting. She ends up telling Sabretooth that she doesn't really have anything specific to blackmail him about, but she knows that he has lived a super long and violent life, and that it wouldn't be hard at all to find something to blackmail him with. And also she tells Bullseye that she knows that he played 2 different crime syndicates that were rivals. He took jobs from rival crime syndicates to try to play them and get the money for himself. But apparently, in the wake of this comic, those crime syndicates had found out and they were after Bullseye. So she tells him that if he helps, that she will have that all disappear. So, but yeah, she does all this in the name of Tristram Silver. Some claim that he's a myth, but they all seem scared to find out, since they all have a personal stake in this. They're afraid, could this Tristram Silver dude make my family member pass away, or what in the world could happen? So they're thinking she is connected to someone with power, this Tristram Silver dude, so we better help. So the next slide, it shows her basically making an example out of the Sandman. He starts getting a little rambunctious, and he's like, screw this, like, I'm not helping you. And this is when all of the villains are grouped up together. He's like, screw this, I'm not helping you. She shoots him with a specific kind of bullet that makes him basically melt. She says that the substance that Sandman is made of, she knows it's basically silicon dioxide, a substance that's virtually insoluble except in hydrofluoric acid, which is the primary component of the chemical compound I've just introduced into your system. So it basically makes the Sandman melt, and everybody is shocked, like, oh crap, this girl is freaking the real deal. We better listen because she knows what our weaknesses are. So that was crazy to see. So then it goes on to show that they have to retrieve a chip before they can go raid the building of AIM that supposedly has the identity disc. They first have to work together to retrieve a chip. And Deadpool was going to be the one that's giving the chip to the lady. And Bullseye sits here and tells him that he did a sleight of hand trick on Deadpool and that he actually has the chip and that he's tempted to just leave and sell the chip off and make a lot of money and basically ditch this job. So the villains get wind that Bullseye is trying to leave, and they're like, no, heck no, she's going to blackmail all of us. So it goes to show Sabretooth ends up going after Bullseye. So before that happens, Bullseye ends up calling them idiots and saying that he did a sleight of hand trick. But it proceeds to show Sabretooth just messing this dude up. And the dynamic is funny to see with all these villains working together. It's something you don't normally see. And it ends up showing them in the car. Deadpool is kind of picking on Bullseye for getting beat up. They look like they just went through like the In-N-Out drive-thru or something. And it shows Bullseye throwing his straw and making it slash Deadpool's throat because he was mad he was getting picked on. That's why they call him Bullseye. He can turn anything into a weapon. But with Deadpool's healing factor, it really didn't matter. So they all kind of get a laugh out of this. I also think it's funny to see Sabretooth just sitting there drinking coffee. But yeah, they're on the way to the AIM building that supposedly has the identity disc. And then it shows they get in a huge battle with a bunch of AIM guards. Like, there's some other art that shows there's hundreds and hundreds. Deadpool offers to make a sacrifice play and do the fastball special with Juggernaut. And I mean, I'm sure y'all know what that is if you play Marvel Rivals. But so Juggernaut gets Deadpool, throws him at this crowd of soldiers as he's shooting them all upside down. And he makes the sacrifice play because he knows that his healing factor like is the best out of all of them and that he can, recover. So he makes the sacrifice play, and a lot of other stuff happens. But one thing I want to get at with this is Vulture. He kept kind of getting assigned the easier tasks for these missions because at this point he was older, and he actually was trying to get out of the crime industry. But so at this point, they had Vulture like go upstairs and do something kind of easy. Like, he wasn't really one of the main guys doing the combat. But I didn't even notice this, but whenever Deadpool is doing the sacrifice play, you can actually see Vulture sitting up top there. So that was interesting. So it ends up showing that Juggernaut is the one that's able to make it to the room that supposedly has the identity disc in there. And he walks up to it, and it shows on the computer in big letters AIM, which stands for Advanced Idea Mechanics. And they are a scientific terrorist group. So Juggernaut is there. And then next thing you know, from behind, the Vulture shoots him with something and takes him down. And it shows on the screen that the computer has displayed an image that says SHIELD Agent Valeria Jessup, aka Valeria Toombs. And we know that Vulture's identity is Adrian Toombs. And it turns out that this lady, Valeria Merrick, that got them all together, that's a fake name. She is actually Valeria Toombs. And she also lied to SHIELD about her name. saying that her name was Valeria Jessup. And the reason she lied is because she didn't think S.H.I.E.L.D. would hire her if they knew that she was the daughter of the Vulture, which it reveals that her and Vulture, they weren't very close, but apparently the Vulture agreed with her to work together to do this, to try to get in better graces with her, because he wants to restore the relationship with his daughter. So apparently this AIM group, they're trying to blackmail a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and just cause trouble because they are a terrorist group. And it ends up showing that a big explosion happens, and Vulture is the only one who really appeared to escape. But all the other villains, I'm sure they survived it. But it ends up showing Vulture, he's incarcerated, and he's talking to Nick Fury, telling him some of the facts. He's not telling him that his daughter is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but it's clear that he's willing to take a fall for her to be able to keep being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And as he tells Fury who Valeria Merrick supposedly said she is and how she blackmailed them all, Nick Fury is talking about, like, who is the real one behind it. And Nick Fury is convinced that Sabretooth is the one that is completely behind this whole plan, because Vulture had told him that Sabretooth was always the one to lead the fight. When there was a battle happening, Sabretooth was the first one going. And supposedly Valeria Merrick, she didn't even have anything to specifically blackmail him with. So Nick Fury is convinced that Sabretooth was behind all this, but I think that shows just how much Sabretooth likes chaos. He wants to fight. He wants to battle. And I actually read a comic recently that dives into that deeper part of Sabretooth, that it's his instinct. So Nick Fury was wrong about that, and he also reveals that, what was the point in this? S.H.I.E.L.D., we actually have the identity disc, he reveals. So there's, Nick Fury is still confused, but basically the Vulture and Valeria Merrick, or Valeria Toombs, they were just trying to get rid of this blackmail that AIM was trying to get on her. And they just used these villains like pawns. But in the end, Vulture, I mean, he ends up, it shows him secretly talking to his daughter. And they're like, seems like they're rehashing their relationship, but it's in private and secret. And he ends up still getting locked up, but he's willing to do that to protect his daughter's career. So even though the Vulture was old and fragile, I mean, I don't know if I can say fragile, but even though he's one of the older guys that, as far as combat is concerned, like, he doesn't really match up to these other villains, he had the smarts. Like, he was smarter than them, and in the end, like, the plan that he was involved in with him and his daughter ended up being triumphant. And then it goes to show, the Sandman chilling on a beach on some island next to a man wearing all black. And it's revealed that this man is the Tristram Silver dude. And let's see what he said. I want to read this. So the Sandman on the beach, joking there somewhere, not that jokes are my strong suit. Nice resort, she must have paid you well, is what the dude in black says. Yes, more than you, actually. You're complaining? No, just observing. Don't get too creepy, Baker. I've ruined better men than you, and she should pay you more. You had to die for her. That's what the man in black said to the Sandman. And he said, heard you put on quite a show. Sandman says, had to. Only way to convince the others not to mess with her. And then the man in black says, mess with me, you mean? And then Sandman says, well, yeah, for all they knew. So it shows that this Tristram Silver dude is actually a real character, and Sandman is kind of looking scared at the end. And apparently there was some connection that he had with Valeria Merrick, and it shows him walking off or whatever. So that's kind of weird. And I was thinking, dang, this is somebody I want to look into. Well, it turns out that's the only comic that Marvel even features the dude in. So that's kind of a fumble. That's the negative thing I can say about these comics is that, because once you read it, you're like, dude, this Tristram Silver dude, I want to learn more about him. I want to see if he's had any connections to other big crime bosses, like see what he's involved in. I do my research. This is the only issue ever that shows him. So it's like there was no follow through with that. So that's the negative thing I have to say about this comic. But other than that, it's very entertaining. I love the art. I love the dynamic, the fun dynamic between all these villains. You know, everybody loves a good team up. So that's Identity Disc, and I enjoyed it. So that leads me into wanting to talk about a little bit more Marvel stuff. There was something Marvel released, which is the countdown to Avengers Doomsday. And there's people online who are claiming that as the countdown goes, that certain timestamps will glitch out. Sorry, I do this a lot. I don't mean to. But yeah, certain timestamps appear to glitch out. And people are really just deep diving with this, like getting the magnifying glass, really looking into it. And they're claiming, that maybe all the spots where the glitches are happening maybe represent when each of the stones were getting put back in Endgame. Which, kudos to y'all, because y'all are deep diving, spending a ton of time just speculating. And it's just speculation. I mean, you don't know if the glitch was on purpose. I don't know. Maybe it probably was. But that's just not my style. A lot of the theories I've talked about in other episodes, they're more street level. You know what I'm saying? So that's my speciality. And I'm going to stick to that. So what better than to talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day? Because it's going to be a brand new vibe in Brand New Day, because it seems like it's finally going to be that street level Spider-Man movie we've always wanted. So what we know about it, the different people confirmed, obviously Spider-Man, but then you got Joe Keery as Harry Osborn. Does that kind of insinuate Norman's involved? Hopefully. You got Punisher confirmed, Hulk confirmed, Scorpion confirmed, Tombstone confirmed. But yeah, so that's kind of like what we know about the movie. They still haven't released a trailer for it. Hopefully in a couple weeks. But I want a little bit of a rewind happening right now. If you look back at Spider-Man No Way Home, when Peter's trying to get Doctor Strange to kind of change the past or change people knowing his identity, all the multiversal villains start creeping their way in their universe. Doctor Strange is like, they're all coming in. They're all creeping their way in. That's not what he said, but you know what I mean. So Green Goblin from Tobey Maguire's movie comes. Doc Ock from Tobey Maguire's universe. Then you got Lizard and Electro from Andrew Garfield's universe. So, it's some big battles. These villains ain't no joke. They got some big time powers like that will terrorize a city. But I want to ask this question. Could other villains in the events of No Way Home, could other villains have creeped into the universe too that they just didn't know about? More street level villains. Because I think it's a valid question. There's street level villains like Hammerhead. There's street level villains like Mr. Negative. Tombstone. He's confirmed. He probably ain't from another universe, but that's just a question I want to ask. And I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments. Do you think that other villains could have creeped their way in without being realized? But one last question I want to ask about Spider-Man Brand New Day is, it's been about 9 years since we saw this man, Childish Gambino, appearing to play the Prowler in Spider-Man Homecoming, and which is not this scene. This one is from the Spider-Verse, but so I'm going to explain that. I mean, everybody probably already knows it, but so there was a guy that was doing dealings with the Vulture, trying to get like the alien weapons, the alien tech. Spider-Man confronts him. Tom Holland Spider-Man webs him up, and it's shown on a computer that this man's name is Aaron Davis, which is the identity of the Prowler. And he ends up telling Spider-Man to keep doing what he's doing because he has a young nephew that he wants to stay safe. And that's like a nod to Miles Morales. So it's like it makes it clear that Miles Morales is kind of in the background, kind of part of this Earth 616. He does exist, and they acknowledge that the Prowler exists. We don't really see him appear as the Prowler, but as Aaron Davis. Well, in 2023, Across the Spider-Verse comes out, and it shows him locked up in the multiversal like place where all the Spider-Men are. I don't remember what it's called. It shows him locked up, and he actually is the Prowler at this point. And they obviously have something that they want to do with this character. So is it possible that maybe the Prowler will show up in Spider-Man Brand New Day? Because think about it. It's been 9 years since that scene with Aaron Davis where he mentions he has a nephew, referencing Miles. And if he didn't blip, then that would have gave him a five extra years to kind of get more powerful in the crime world with less superhero opposition. Maybe within that 5 years, if he didn't get blipped, he would have been able to access more technology to build his suit. I don't know. Me as a fan, I just think it would be sick to see in live action, and it would further plant seeds for Miles being introduced into the MCU. And I can just see it now. I want to see him like riding his motorcycle through in the Prowler suit in live action. That would be sick. Also, I want to see the next Spider-Verse movie. I wish it wouldn't have got delayed. But I think that that's a decent question to ask. And, yeah. So, another thing is, who's going to play Miles Morales? That's like a whole debate online, and I'm not here to debate that. But something I have noticed is Caleb McLaughlin or whatever, the dude that plays in Stranger Things, he's posted videos of him training, doing all kind of crazy flips, and he's already talked about how his dream role is Miles Morales. I mean, he's got the athletic part down. As far as Miles, his culture truly being represented, that's another debate. But there's a lot of questions to ask about the future of the MCU. It's clear that they're moving towards Miles being introduced, and could the Prowler be in Spider-Man Brand New Day? That would be pretty sick. I'm excited to see what happens, but something cool, really cool, that made me feel even better about wanting to ask this question. I had already typed up the outline for this podcast episode a couple days ago, and then I woke up this morning, I roll over, and I see that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer dropped, and they have a Childish Gambino song playing on the Daredevil trailer. So could Marvel be giving hints that this dude might be appearing? Hey, I'm down for it. But I'm going to just let him cook. I'm not going to be one of those fans that has all these expectations and is going to be disappointed if it doesn't go down exactly how I thought. I think that they're going to do a great story, and I just have a feeling Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be awesome. And I'm really hoping for that as a fan. So, yeah. I think I'm wrapping it up here, though. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, the WWE talk, the gaming talk, the comic book overview. I forgot to even show that I found this, but that's just one, like the first issue. But anyway, I hope that y'all enjoyed this video, and comment what you think about Spider-Man. Could other villains have creeped their way into Earth 616 without Peter Parker knowing? Leave a comment, and just feel free to comment anything. Like, subscribe if you liked it. Hit a doggone RKO to that subscribe button, you know what I'm saying? I hope y'all have a great week. This was the 2020 Visions podcast. See ya.